known as Black Coffee Poet, is a mixed-race, Toronto-based poet, essays, and journalist. His writing has appeared in the Kenyon Review, The Cant, Yellow Medicine Review, Carolines, Racialissues.com, and other publications. And I'm looking around for Black Coffee Poet. Oh, there you are. He is a creator of and lead writer at Vlogger, at blackcoffeepoet.com, and the Black Coffee Poet YouTube channel. Black Coffee Poet, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. And I'd like to acknowledge Elgin Sackney. Thank you for the opening. And I'd like to acknowledge that we are on stolen land. This is originally indigenous land. And I'd like to acknowledge somebody who broke down doors for a young poet like me, George Elliott Clarke, in this literature world that's dominated by white folk. If it wasn't for guys like him, maybe I wouldn't even be here. So thank you very much, George Elliott Clarke. So I've got 3 poems here. The first one I'm going to read was published in a magazine you might want to check out, Our Times. It's Canada's independent labor magazine. And it's a little bit of Spanish in here, but the translation is given right after I say the Spanish. So check it out. No Les Da Verguenza. 2 brown sisters sit at the dinner table, one at either end. One retired, the other soon to be. White wine, bread, salad, plates cleaned of paella, sauteed fish, and crab shells filled with cheese resting between them. Mira que me dieron, look what they gave me, says the younger sister. A box is passed from one side of the table to the other. Julia, 20 years, is written on a post-it note glued to the top of a box. Inside, a silver pendant lies on cotton, the name of the social club engraved on it. Older sister looks with disgust, kisses her teeth, sours her face, shakes her head. No Les Da Verguenza? Aren't they ashamed? Older sister's fragile hands hold silver, like that stolen from her land, her ancestors, enough to make a bridge spanning from Potosi to Spain. Her knotted feet rest under the table, resting after years of cleaning rooms at the Royal York Hotel, before being laid off with other women of color, with no notice, no reason, no compensation. Years of cleaning City Hall followed. She, a brown contract worker, pitted against the white full-timers. Retirement has brought on cleaning of homes for cash and the continual treatment as a second-class citizen. No Les Da Verguenza? Younger sister's black hair is tied back. Her swollen ankles are crossed under the table as her thick forearms rest on it. The feast she's cooked sits in front of her. She listens to her sister's honesty, solidarity, and understanding. Younger sister responds with a drooping stare, a stare of violation, unappreciation, exhaustion. No Les Da Verguenza? She's tired from the years of working 16-hour days, starting at dawn, coming home at midnight. Tired of the injustices, losing her position to a younger white woman who was fucking the boss. Not being allowed to communicate in her language with other coworkers. Shunned for not kissing ass. Tired of hustling to find jobs to make ends meet, cleaning homes, studying to be a healthcare aide, a registered daycare cook, and a clothing designer. Tired of working, studying, writing essays and tests and job applications. Tired from the years of traveling from transit station to transit station, switching buses and streetcars and uniforms on the same day, shift to shift, job to job. Tired of passing out on the living room couch, catching up on sleep you never really catch up on in this North American nightmare masked as a dream. This system that drags down women of color. Tired of working, cleaning homes and her home, cooking for and not seeing her son. Tired of routine, the constant go, sore joints, loneliness. No Les Da Verguenza? Left for her in the back where all the brown folk work, not given to her, not placed in her hands like the heavy trays she's carried for 20 years. Not accompanied with words of thanks or a smile like the one she puts on every day. Rather, written as data, Julia, 20 years. Silenced are the years of sacrifice, stress, struggle, sickness. 3 words, a piece of paper, a pin in a box. So I'm going to read you now a poem about an epidemic that we have here in the land now known as Canada. I don't know if Elder Sackley talked about it, but there's over 800 missing and murdered Aboriginal women, and Canada's doing nothing about it. Some say those numbers are much higher. Anyway, so I was reading the newspaper in 2008, and I saw a picture of a beautiful young child who was murdered. And then I saw a picture of a woman who was deemed worthless because she wasn't middle class or upper class, and she was murdered, and they still haven't found her killer. So I'm just, was tired of seeing stories like that. And that was in the same newspaper, and then this poem sparked, and I wrote it. And it was in response to, if you remember, when the tragedy that did happen just down the street when Jane Krivo was murdered, everybody cared. But it's because she was white and she was pretty and she was middle or upper class. She mattered, but these women didn't. And so the person I'm addressing this poem to didn't do what he did for Jane Krivo. He didn't do what he did, for these women. A poem to Mayor David Miller, and this was actually published in the Toronto Star Letter to the Editor section, August 13th, 2008. Why haven't you walked the streets of Parkdale or rallied around the Sherbourne Street high-rises to end violence against women the way you marched up and down Yonge Street a few years back? I guess a brown, chubby-cheeked First Nations girl and a woman struggling with addiction don't count. They weren't blonde, blue-eyed, and middle class. They weren't from the #1 area to own property in 2008. They weren't the picture of Canada. Caitlin Sampson was of color, original to this land, and the worst case Detective Ryan has seen in 20 years on the job. Carolyn Connolly was middle-aged, battled cocaine for a third of her life, left for dead in an alley, something that no one should go through. They might just be numbers to you, murders 38 and 39. They're not numbers to their families, their friends, their communities, to me. So this is the last poem, and it actually follows up with something that Elder Sackley talked about. And it's called 9 Indians. And the word Indians is not about people across the pond. It refers to the colonial name for the peoples of what is now known as the Americas. 9 Indians. 11 stand strong in a circle. 9 Indians and 2 whites. One brother asks, "Who here hasn't been on the inside?" A pale hand rises. Everyone laughs. A sad laugh. Thank you. Please check out my website, blackcoffeepoet.com, and please check out the Black Coffee Poet YouTube channel. You can subscribe to both for free. And friend me on Facebook, I am Black Coffee Poet. Thank you very much.
I think it's important to remind ourselves that social equity also passed by cultural equity. Thank you, Black Coffee, for the contribution. And the last performer